We are back online. We are restarting at 7:20. Communications with parents, citizens, and staff. Is there anybody here who wants to talk to us? Nope. But I do want to talk about the letter from the Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union. It should have all been in your packet. An email that I received from their board chair, Eric Montebrand. Let me find it here.
Renee, they're pushing it back.
They're pushing it back? Okay, thank you.
Montbriand.
Okay, there we go. I don't know where mine is. I had it.
It's in the...
I printed it.
I have one here. This is helpful.
Want to borrow one? Yeah, because somebody stole mine. I don't think anybody stole it.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, Act 373 redistricting. So, I did respond to him to let him know that we would be talking about this tonight. I did not tell him any other, didn't give him any one way or the other how we felt about this. However, to size this up, it looks like they are reaching out to us. Well, let's talk about this first. The Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union is made up of 5 districts.
Yeah.
One of them is Rutland Town, West Rutland, Proctor, Poultney.
Is one district.
Oh yeah, they're the Quarry Valley. Quarry Valley, Rutland Town, Wells, Middletown Springs?
Wells Springs is like Wells and
Wells and Springs, okay, and who else?
The SU. That's the 5th.
Okay. So, they're our neighbors to the southeast, I don't know what you would call it. Anyway, southwest. They are talking about this, essentially asking us to join them in their current SU. So I'm assuming that they're asking for both Barstow and Otter Valley to join their SU and make their SU bigger. What I want to say about this from my standpoint is that Act 46, we went from being 8 boards or 11 boards actually, to being 3 boards. This would set us back, I think, a little bit in the fact that we would lose some of our voice. We currently have a bigger voice, being one district is Otter Valley. Joining their 5 districts would mean that we would only have 3 seats on their SU board, so we would be outvoted every single time, or 6 if you wanted to include Barstow. But again, we would be outvoted every single time if they wanted something that we didn't. I had reached out to them based on what we had talked about earlier at one stage, asking about wanting to know if they were willing to sell us Proctor. They didn't respond to that. But I think that's more in our best interest of adding Proctor to our current district of Otter Valley. And bringing more kids into our district as it stands right now, filling up the Lothrop School with more kids from the elementary school at Proctor, and I would love to use their high school in Proctor as our middle school, but that's not on the table, but I would love to be able to reach back out to them and say that if it was okay with you. But I also need to know what your thoughts are. It's not just my thoughts that count on this, as to how you feel about joining their SU.
Did Barstow talk about this?
No, I don't know if she got the same email. This came to me. It just actually says Otter Valley, so I don't know that they actually asked Barstow. But I'm including Barstow because they are part of our SU.
I would be curious what their thoughts are too, I guess, before taking any action.
Barstow? Yeah, well, Barstow just wants to keep choice, so they're, because at one point at Act 46, they had been entertained by Rutland Town and joining them, and decided not to because they would have gotten swallowed up at that point.
Yeah, well, Barstow and Rutland Town are in a similar place.
Right, they are in a similar place. You're right.
I'm not sure that Greater Rutland is a good example of the direction that we want to go.
There are a lot of small towns. There are a lot of small towns with small numbers. I think that if we were all one big district, that would make probably more sense. But it does you know, that's where you talked yourself about school consolidation, Brett. And that's what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
I think, in the grand scheme of things, if things keep up going the way they're going. But I do need to have an answer to Eric about his actual question here.
I think it's premature, right? I mean, if the legislature is going to decide and we don't even have a choice, should we be having discussions? I mean, we can have open discussion, but we're not actually going to join.
Yeah, I don't think it's in our best interest to join them. I mean, we can have a discussion with them. I can invite them here.
Sure, I mean, we can hear them, but
I mean, if there's an interest from other districts
Yeah.
to have a committee to talk about these sorts of things, it's a reality we can't ignore.
Sure.
So maybe that's our response, is we're willing to maybe form a coalition with some other supervisory unions and have those conversations.
Does that mean that you're including Rutland City in that, and maybe
I
Mill
think,
River?
Yeah, anybody in the area.
Slate.
In Slate Valley, right?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you for that.
You know, not just conversations, nothing binding.
Okay. So we would be more willing to have a conversation if we looked at all of the districts around us and including these other ones and talk about how we could be better together.
I think we have to.
yeah, we
can't-
need to look at all of our options.
Yep. Okay.
We can't just jump at this and say, "Oh yeah, we want to join you."
Well, it's kind of a regression if you think about it, because we're going to be going from three boards right now back into 8 or 9, and that's yes.
What Peter talked about was you suggested that there's several models for the Act 73 that they're exploring,
Yep.
which potentially could include by county.
Sure. Yep.
So if we are to explore this further, we should certainly do so with a committee exploration of a deeper dive into this, and that's a time-consuming process.
I think we just have a board meeting of all of our boards and talk about this and see what it looks like for us. We don't have to wait for Act 73 to be one big district if that's what we all wanted, or to be something else.
If it made sense.
Okay. All right.
But we have to also consider that in 5 years, we may not be that same district. So do we want to go through that whole process to redistrict and then redistrict
Well,
again?
if we were to able to get up to 4,000 students or something like that, they may be willing to leave us alone. You know, if you want to think, if we've already done the work for them, right?
Well, also, it is hard to ignore that if we're looking for savings, larger districts does give you avenues to get there that smaller districts don't.
Right.
Even if you don't take them, you don't have those options if you're a small district.
We should try to work with our legislators, right? If we want to have a discussion with the districts, then we should also
them
be
in.
And we'll have a
bringing
bigger
them in.
voice if it's part of a larger group,
Yeah.
right? If we can get other districts to join us, then we'll have a bigger voice.
Yeah, we shouldn't be having these conversations in silos.
So there was a small committee of board chairs and superintendents from the Southwest Superintendents Association, which is a little bit too big because it's both Bennington and Rutland counties. But what we're talking about here now is looking a little bit closer, just Rutland County. But I would also, as we go into it, and I'm glad that we're going into it with some trepidation, because is the goal to ensure that we're making sure that we're becoming efficient and serving the needs for the students, or maintaining what we like about our districts currently, so that we
Self-preservation.
so it's for self-preservation. And if it's for self-preservation, I think that's almost a waste of our time.
Okay.
Well, that's how I interpreted the letter, was about self-preservation for them.
For them.
And there are things that could happen to get us ahead of the curve for what is coming down the road. And also accepting that state really hasn't proven that they are good at handling these sort of situations with student outcomes in mind. So maybe that's best handled by smaller groups locally.
Like us. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna reach back out to him, stating that, thank him for his letter, and that we would be more willing to open up the discussion countywide, including, I'll state the districts that we're thinking about talking with and going from there. Right?
Do we want to send a letter to the other SUs?
Sure.
Stating
I
as
can do
such?
that too. I can find their board chairs and send them out the same letter. I'm sure that Greater Rutland didn't just look to us to send a letter to, so I'm sure that there's other boards that are looking at this as well. Okay? Okay. Then that's okay with everybody? All right. And I will do that. All right. Let's see. We have a monitoring report 2.5, the emergency superintendent succession. So that is in your board packet. If you want to look at that, that is the monitoring report.
Let's see if I can. Should be able to.
Can I get someone to make a motion to accept the monitoring report while it's being pulled up so that we can talk about it?
I move.
I heard Barbara, and then Fernanda, you want to second it?
Sure.
Okay. Great.
Very happy that I was able to do one of these last year, so I was able to pull a lot from it and put it in the more kind of the easier to read scenario. I'm glad that this was already largely in existence last year when I was out for a good month due to my surgery. People were able to really step up and take on the role of superintendent while I was under the weather. And so this report is largely just a kind of a re-emphasis of what we have to do in order to make sure that we have somebody ready to go if I'm unable to answer the bell, or for whatever reason, well, I'm not here. So, or the superintendent is not here, because it's not just about me.
It also is if you were to decide to leave. Correct. Yeah. All right, but you're not doing that. So no, we're not. Yeah. Right. We don't talk about what's his name, Bruno. Okay, there we go. All right. Any discussion about this monitoring report? Any questions? Yes. No, don't be sorry. It's okay.
I haven't had a chance to look at this.
Yep.
And again, I'm new.
Yep.
Does this offer duplicity beyond number 2 failsafe? Is there a third failsafe?
You mean like if he was gone and then the second one was gone, who was next? Yes, there is a progression. So it's just like the president. The president's gone, it goes down to whoever, and yes.
We're
Yeah.
about 9.
Yeah.
Do you think we need 10?
You would be number 10, so
Designated survivor.
that's right. So, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of accepting monitoring report 2.5, emergency superintendent succession, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you for that. Now that I'm looking online, I see that Stephanie Hall is online, which may be Mr. Hall. So if that is you, Mr. Hall, yes it is, hello. I would like to move to the bottom of our agenda underneath the superintendent informational report that talks about the Otter Valley Auditorium no food signage, if that's okay with everybody, and then we'll move back. So normally we don't get into the weeds about this stuff. We leave it to the administration. However, Kevin Thornton brought it up at a previous board meeting about the no food signs that are outside the auditorium, and did that mean all the time or just during school or whatnot? So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hall to explain how that works right now, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, after they went What? It's an echo. Is that me? I haven't done a Zoom call in a long time. After they went up, I had a discussion with Jim Avery at the time when he was there, and we were definitely with the idea that no food or drink during the day, because that tended to be where all the messes came from. It was students, it was faculty meetings, things like that that caused a lot of the stuff from the chairs that were replaced before, because those chairs before these chairs were very light in color for some reason, which was not a good choice for a theater anyway. And then it was, because the concession stand that we've been running as long as I've been there is a very large fundraiser for us. We raised about over $3,000 on the concession stand over the course of our 3 productions every year. And it's really hard. It's hard to monitor that because I don't want to sit at the door and tell public people who are coming in to have a good experience that release them. And also the fact that if we did try to keep everyone out, it would make intermissions for the musical upwards of close to 30 minutes possibly, because we're pushing them through just to get them through and get the show started sometimes within 20 minutes just to get the line through. And also it's really in today's society, I mean, all theaters have food and drink in them now. Even the historical ones in New York have opened that up to allow food and drink into the shows beforehand and after intermission. And the messes aren't really messes from that. The people that come, our community is really good about, they keep the place clean. We've never actually, since we've had these chairs, there's never been any sort of accidents on a chair, except one kid got sick once.
Yeah,
the
it was
last
gross.
5 years. And that was the only chair we've ever had to clean in these last 5 years that are there. So it's like, it's a hard thing to control with it. We want everyone to have a good experience when they come see a show. We want it to feel as close to professional type shows as it could be for the kids and the audience. And then part of that is, the people in America eat. They eat a lot. They consistently eat. They don't go a long time without that. And it makes it more enjoyable for them. And the kids and I, throughout the process of the year, we go through, we clean the chairs and make sure they're clean in the backs from dust and footprints and stuff, because that doesn't happen very often, getting cleaned. And we make sure that it's clean before shows as well. And during the rehearsal, kids have designated areas for the food down front and in the back, so it's not in the chairs either. So we work really hard to keep everything in pristine condition, because we take pride in the place that we are at a lot of the time of the school year. So we've been going with the no food during the day for the student assemblies and all of that stuff, and then letting at night, not telling people they can bring it in, but if they take it in, we're not telling them that they can't. So the sign's there, and the signs do deter some people, and some people, they're rushing back in. So because the show's about to start, they've got their candy bar. So.
Yeah, and you also, I don't know, you also use some of that concession money for your scholarships, correct?
Oh, yeah. The money goes, we have a scholarship fund that we give to graduating seniors in the performing arts every year. We do give out money to anybody going in the performing arts. It's not like a select only 1 or 2 people. Anybody that is going out, we try to give something to. And it comes out of the concession sales throughout the year. So the more money we have, the more money we can try to give. The concession, being as a fundraiser, also covers a lot of our travel for our competitions. Especially if we have to stay overnight in a hotel, like we did last year. We stayed 5 nights in a hotel. No, not 5 nights. It was 5 days. 3 nights in a hotel in 2 different places. By going to the New England Drama Festival, and the kids that paid for that as well. The concession stand paid for those hotel rooms. So the kids did not have to pay for that out of pocket, just because they had won. Didn't have to be that way.
Great. Is there any questions for Mr. Hall before we let him go for the night so he can get ready for Annie tomorrow? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Hall. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Right. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good night. So I wanted you to hear from him exactly what they have. So it is up to the administration for that signage. I don't care whether or not it says no food or drink during school hours or whether we just leave it as is. But
Is there a question? Is he asking us to remove it?
No, so
Kevin asking
Kevin Thornton was feeling like we were not following the rules because there are signs above the theater before you walk in that say no food or drink allowed. And so he was taking
Wanted
that
us
as
to
all the time. He either we enforce it or we take that down and we allow it to happen all the time.
And so Kevin's, no, is his name Kevin?
No, that was Jeff.
Jeff is saying it's not a problem, the signs aren't a problem.
Right, they're only enforcing no food or drink during the day. And so at night, if we were to have something in there, or if they have theater, performances and things like that, people are allowed to bring their food or drink in.
But the good thing is that it allowed Brenda and I to start looking more at other signage around the building,
Oh,
so that we could make recommendations for design and other things.
great.
Pulling in Jill.
All right, awesome. All right, so I just wanted you to hear from that, and so that Kevin knows that we discussed it and why those signs are up the way they are. Okay? All right, so, and I didn't want him to have to keep waiting for us. All right, so we are going to move back up to our governance process period of our agenda. We have a monitoring report to do for ourselves, which is monitoring report 3.1, which is I only have half of it. I feel like all my paper has disappeared. Yeah, unity of control. Oh, there's that one. I don't know. I've lost it.
I can share it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't bring my computer. Oh, there it is. Can I have that?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, that's you. I took it.
Yeah, so we need, actually, we don't usually do motions. We just look at it and decide whether or not we need to make any changes other than the dates. We always change the date, to 24 to 25. And so this, particular one is unity of control. You'll see that so for those of you who are new, it's up on the board, up on the screen there. So the policy wording, the first box is the policy wording, which is you'll find directly from our blue sheets of the policy. That's the wording of the policy. Then we usually, some of them have a reasonable interpretation of what it means, but if it, looks like what it means, we don't put anything in there. And then the last box is examples of where or we did or did not do this. So the first one says, only officially passed motions of the board are binding on the superintendent. Makes sense. And then the examples that we had from last year was that the board chair cited there could be notifications from the superintendent regarding how well things are going, but as far as policy is concerned, the chair directs all items to the board. True. Board members agreed that the policy should remain as it is, and there are no decisions made without information from the board. So, and then beyond that, there's the rest of the, what our reasonable interpretation is, and then what our examples are. So, if anybody has any changes that they want to make to those, please let me know, or if there's something we need to add.
I have a generic question.
Sure.
If a member of the community were trying to follow these reports, do we care that our formatting is significantly different than what Renee has been doing?
I don't think
And
so.
should we try to reformat it such that there's consistency?
I would say that I don't think it matters if the consistency of the superintendent report and our report is the same, as long as we are consistent in the way that we each do it. Do you know what I mean? So like
Okay.
he's consistent in his and we are consistent in ours.
Okay. Because it does feel like we're kind of saying and doing the same thing, we're just showing it differently.
We are, and it's not like we say, oh, we are in compliance with our policy or anything like that. We don't do that necessarily. But, I mean, we could change it around if you wanted to spend more time on this.
We've kind of rubber stamped it for a few years. I don't care either way, really. I just think if we're trying to be polished in our
Sure.
community face, then that might be a way we could up our game a bit. But
Well, right, yeah, I mean, we don't spend a lot of, I mean, we spend a lot of time on this in the first year that we did it, because they weren't filled in at all. And now we kind of just look at them and say, yep, we do that, yep, we do that. Because there really hasn't been much change to the way we do things. But if people feel like we have to have a new format, we can do that.
It's certainly not the hill I want to die on. I'm just bringing it up. 'Cause
Okay,
it's-
well, no, well, and that's why I'm gauging the board. I'm not going to tell you that, no, we're doing it this way. It's a board decision. So, everybody feel okay with it being the way it is for now? I mean, if we,
If you ever want to change it, sure. But
yeah. Okay. Is there any changes that we need to make other than the date? I didn't necessarily see any. Okay. All right. Then we're going to move on.
Laura, can I
Yeah.
ask you something?
You most certainly can. Sorry, Fernanda.
Okay, no, just up on the agenda, there is the Hog Hill thing that we haven't gotten to. I just
Oh.
wondered.
Yeah, we're actually right there almost. So,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm looking at it in a different order. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
No, so the only thing I'm going to mention before we get to Hawk Hill is that we still do have one more board vacancy. It is an at-large rep, meaning that they can come from any of our 6 towns. It is for a 2-year term, although they would have to run for this term in March for the 1 year remaining on it at that point. So if anybody knows anyone, have them send, or if anybody online or is watching us, they can send a letter of interest to Melinda Piper at rnesu.com or org, excuse me, and we'll take it into consideration. Okay, so Fernanda, who is currently in California, is currently our board rep to the Hawk Hill Committee, but she needs to step aside due to other commitments. There we go. Thank you. So we do need to appoint a new OVUU board rep to the Hawk Hill Committee. For those of you who do not know what Hawk Hill is all the land behind us is considered Hawk Hill property. That's where the kids go out and they do their running in cross country. We also have our OVUHS program uses it extensively. They do cleanup of trees out there. They clean up the trails. They do tons of things out there through the OVUHS program. We are the stewards of that land, so it is not. We own it, but it is in the Nature Conservancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Vermont Conservancy.
Right.
Land Trust.
The Land Trust. It's the Vermont Land Trust. So we are the stewards of that property. That is a committee that is separate from this board, so you would be doing another meeting. So without additional pay, and it is another commitment. So, Kevin Thornton has said that he would be willing to be that new OVUU rep. But if anybody else is interested, he also said he would step aside. So, but he's not here, so we get to,
I nominate Kevin.
We're just gonna. I know, right? That's why I told him. I said you're not gonna be here, so guess what you are. So, I would take a nomination to make Kevin our new board rep to the Hawk Hill Committee if someone so desired.
I second it.
All right, Brett made the motion and Fernando is seconding it. Any discussion? If you're interested in Hawk Hill at all, they do have every couple of month meetings to talk about things that need to be done there. And after those meetings, they do bring them back to the board to let us know what's going on.
And I would suggest that if you don't know hotel, then you go take a hike.
Right? Yeah, it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Really pretty map.
Okay. Any other discussion before we vote? All right. All in favor of appointing Kevin Thornton, our new OVUU board rep to the Hawk Hill Committee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Probably just Kevin Thornton. All right. Board member mentorships. So this is here for our new 3 board members, Gabe, Brianna, thank you, and Kevin. If they so desire, is there anybody here who would be willing to be a mentor to them? if they have questions about what we do from the board perspective. It's not going to be a huge time commitment. It's, probably answering an email or a phone call. So you guys can talk afterwards, but if someone's willing to do that.
I'm happy to do
Barbara,
that.
Brett, okay. So, and again, I said that, any questions you had, you're more than welcome to email me as well. But if you would like to buddy up, so to speak, you can do that as well. All right, Otter Valley Facility and Middle School Model. Next steps in communication plan. I think that's you.
That's me. That's why I'm here. Thank you guys for having me.
Welcome, Jill.
Yes, thank you.
So, I was not able to attend the last meeting where you guys discussed this at length, but I did watch it, and I have been taking in information surrounding this idea for the past couple months and trying to put together a plan for us, a proposed plan for the proposed proposal, I guess we could say, because nothing is set in stone yet, which is fine. Can you next slide, Renee? So, goal, engage the community, gather input, and maintain transparent. I've heard you hate that word, Lori, so maybe opaque. Renee suggested that today for me. Opaque communication throughout the proposed planning, design, and construction of the new middle school addition. And then got 6 kind of steps that we can go through quickly. I'm not gonna, this doesn't have to be a long discussion tonight. I know it's getting late. All right. Go ahead, Renee. So my first proposal, the first step, because the cat is out of the bag on this, right? I mean, the Rutland Herald and the Brandon Reporter have both already reported on this idea that we have. If you haven't read their articles, I would go back and find them. People know these ideas being kicked around. We have not, the board has not really addressed it outside of meetings. But I think our first step to kind of get people on our side for this is to do some building tours. We need to invite community members into the building here and certainly highlight improvements that have been made, but also highlight that deferred maintenance and the ways that the middle school addition could be beneficial to everyone, not just the middle schoolers, but the high schoolers and our greater community. Those tours could be done in person, or I'm happy to put together a video tour and work with Michael and Jim Yeager and students and staff even, to put something like that together, because not everybody's going to find the time to come into the building, but in-person tours as well, even if we just do a couple of them, maybe pair them with events that we have going on, football games or something, beforehand, when you're more likely to have community members coming to OV already. Community outreach, I think, is super important. We all saw what happened with the VCC. That was really sad, in my opinion. I think we need to get in front of things, and we need to talk to people in as many ways as we can. Is it Brent? Brett, sorry. You talked about, when I was first got in here, you talked about community outreach and the board doing community outreach. I think that is key to this process. Surveys are important. People have different ways that they like to communicate their thoughts and needs, but also things like community forums, working with stakeholders who have a stronger relationship to the school, but also those who don't, right? This is a community decision, and we need to reach those people we need to reach our voters who are disconnected from everything that is going on. Also reaching out to our PTOs and friend groups. They're already engaged community members, and having focused conversations with them, seeing what their thoughts are, but also what they're thinking, and what they're gathering from their community members. And then maybe focus groups, depending on what kind of engagement we're getting. And also we said board engagement, to give you guys talking points and stuff. Just stuff that you can, frequently ask questions, whatever stuff that you can take out into the community with you to feel certain of what you're talking about. Concerns, I think this will come about both organically, just as our sharing more of this idea, but also as a result of our surveys and outreach and stuff. These were just a couple, there was a survey done, I think, oh my gosh, it was quite a while ago when we had first started kicking around this idea. I did find the results. These were the three big results, the three big kind of things that I noticed out of the results of those surveys. The funding, our enrollment trends for the district, and our impact on smaller schools, the impact on smaller schools of a project like this. And then further addressing of those concerns through community outreach, board members, but also using other platforms like Front Porch Forum, Facebook, and working with our media partners, especially the Rutland Herald, because we are not sure what's happening to the Reporter going forward. So, okay. And then highlight the benefits, state aid for debt service related to construction, the relocation of central office, possibly, and then the improved educational experience for all of our students, and how that is a benefit to them, but also to our community as a whole, and just clear, consistent messaging with our communications. Okay. The final edition proposal, we need a solid plan before we put something to vote. I think that is probably, kind of goes without saying. People want to know what they're voting on. It's not just an idea. It's they want something concrete. And just being upfront about potential challenges that we could face, cost, transition, logistics, and how the district plans to address those. So kind of get in front of them, have answers ready before the questions are asked. Okay. And then finally, a central information hub for all of the information. I was thinking most likely this would be a section of the RNESU website where people could come and access, frequently asked questions, anything that we have done related to the project, the video tour, construction updates if we get that far, any media coverage, just somewhere where people could go and find the information that they're looking for so they don't feel like we're trying to hide things from them. And then just sharing the information regularly with our community members. Transparency or opaqueness until we can be transparent is key.
Absolutely. That's good.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions for me, or can I ask my questions for you?
Go ahead and ask your questions.
So, what role do you, as board members, what do you see as your role being in the communication around this project?
Well, we have to be front and center. It's our idea.
Yeah.
And we're the ones who came up with this thought and are putting it out to people. So we have to be the ones that are promoting it. But I also feel like we need to have other people promoting it as well. We need the high school promoting it, whether teachers, principals, administration, saying yes, and your video tours are going to help with that, and or regular tours. Video tour made up by the kids, from the, I know there's a club that does that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Susan Avery does.
Yes.
And JD do a broadcast.
Yeah, broadcast club. That would be perfect for them to do that. So it has to come from us. We have to be front and center.
Yeah, definitely. So is that something that you are all comfortable with?
There yet?
We have to be front and center with the fact that that we are entertaining this idea. So yes, we're already front and center as far as we have something that says we could potentially do this. Now what is the community's reaction to it? And what are your questions about it? And why? Why are we thinking this is the way it needs to work?
Well, right now we're selling a concept, not a plan.
Right. Well, right now, right. And if this concept was able to take steam, then we could pull together a plan. Yes.
Well, I think that concept idea went spectacularly poorly with the rec center efforts that, as far as I could tell, were with similar good intentions, but just fell apart in the community engagement phase.
Right.
Is that something that we?
They were not even allowed to get to the point to make a
Well,
Right, but that
well,
was because of the spectacular collapse around
the
it.
the issue is they made that slide deck, which was great that they showed us, and so when we put it out to the community that we were putting it out to them, we started getting tons and tons of questions. I kept sending the slide deck out, and they thought it was the board's, idea, and when I sent it to the VCC to say, hey, you need to promote this, they were like, oh, don't worry about it, it's just a concept. Well, we can learn from that, definitely.
It's a teachable moment.
Right, and so I think we've learned from that. I mean, we've definitely learned that we can't just take an idea from somebody that comes and says, hey, we want to do this, and put it out to the community without having some hard facts behind it.
especially when you're putting numbers with it.
Yeah,
that
right.
are just speculative, but people
Right.
are taking them because you were sharing it. People are taking those numbers as fact.
Right.
I think we did the right thing in that situation.
Oh, we
It wasn't
did.
for us to stop that process.
No.
No.
No, I mean, it was a slam dunk for us to put it out to the community. But we also didn't realize that that kind of question has to be put in front of the voters, not on a ballot. Because we don't have that ability
So
yet.
one of the things that we would like as the administration, we know that we're talking about it. There's a wonderful opportunity November 26 to have it go to a vote. But if we were to do November 26 for it to go, not November 26, 25, but November 2026.
Oh,
for it to
okay.
go.
Phew, I was like, wow. Well, we just already talked that we were doing this in November. All
For
right.
November
okay.
2026 for it to go to a vote. But in order for us to do that, there's actually backward mapping that has to take place in order for the translucent, transparent process to take place. And so in order to make that happen, we would like direction from the board at one of the 2 October meetings.
Okay.
If it's going to be later, if we're going to go to a vote later than November 2026, that's fine. But if one of the benefits of doing it during a general election is that it doesn't cost us anything because there's already an election taking place, and there's going to be a lot of people coming to vote, so that's good or bad, but people coming to vote. The other piece, and I think, Brenda, you could probably speak better to this, is that let's say it doesn't pass in November, we get feedback as to why it didn't pass. We can bring it again during town meeting day 27 with the feedback from the community. So,
Are you talking about a bond vote or just a question?
I would say a
Bond
bond vote.
It's a bond vote.
What would a question be?
I think the
I don't
question
know.
vote was part of what went wrong with the rec department.
BCC.
Yeah.
The whole point of the community engagement is to build up to a bond vote.
It's to build us to a bond vote. Yes.
So that is what we're, to me,
Yes.
it makes sense. November 26th is our goal date, and we work backwards from there.
Fernanda's got a question.
Fernanda. Yes. Sorry. I couldn't see the little yellow.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm just thinking about the conversation being around the why. Why are we doing this? What are we solving by
Sure.
doing this? And I think I really would love to see some points out first about what is it that we're looking to fix, right, with this? Like,
Sure.
why are we doing this?
Yep.
And really, begin the conversation there. Because I think that people need to understand that there's a need, and I don't know that they know that there's a need.
Sure. I mean, we can.
Agree. And that's, when you said it was our idea, the board's idea, I don't know, I don't like.
Well, all
the way
right. So
that
it came out of the
sounds.
task force. I mean, it did. If we want to go all the way back, it came out of the task force.
But there's a need for it.
But there is a need.
There's a
I mean,
need, and we're responding to a need, and
Well, and we've
the need
talked
is
about-
becoming more
right.
urgent, and we need to explain that better to the
well, and we've
community.
talked about the middle school model and having 6th through 8th grade together.
Yeah.
It's a much better way to keep them. It also alleviates some space issues that we have
Right.
at Neshabie.
But
Yes.
I think we really need to be strong with the arguments.
Oh, sure.
Why, Because
Yep.
those arguments are strong and they need to be clear and they need to be really pointed out, because I don't think that people see that. And when you start talking about building, now they're gonna talk money, right? It all just floats right to money
Right.
and the need becomes secondary.
Well,
And
and
I think that, starting with the need before we even present money is really important.
okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we stay away from the, the projected cost or whatever for as long as we can, and just let, express the need. I mean, I did a Facebook post a few weeks ago. I was in the building here taking pictures of teachers getting ready. It was an in-service day. And, put the pictures up with a nice little caption. And the thing that people were focusing on was that everything still looks the same as it did when I graduated 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Everything still looks the same. So I think, just communicating and, the things that still look the same, maybe not the things that we need to fix, the cabinets in what is now the health room, that have been there since, 1970. But I think there is people, there are ways to get people to come around to the understanding of things that need updates and need fixing and need change.
Yeah, Brenda.
So a couple of things. I think I'm assuming that the board, we can tell the story, but I'm not sure. Oh, she's still there. I'm not sure if Fernanda's saying that she's not sold on the story, right? So it's not the administration's story. It's our whole story. And I'm assuming that the work that the task force did, the fact that you empowered a task force, asked them to do this, come back with it, that you guys already know the why. We need to do that and get it ready for the public. But I'm assuming you're already at the why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we are.
Yeah, we are.
I mean,
Okay.
I think,
But
Yeah.
the people,
But
people who are
community
in the
don't.
conversation may not be at this table anymore. And there are new people who don't know enough about that history to really understand the why. So having a conversation within ourselves to really understand the why and stand behind it is important, because to be honest, you're right. I see some things that we're needing. I would like to be stronger in my understanding of why going this way now.
Okay.
Like,
Barbara?
I get the
oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Finish, Fernanda. I thought you were done.
No, I think that the people who began that conversation, the conversation has started a long time ago. I think the need has stayed true. Things have changed. I think things have gotten harder in some ways and the need is greater. But I think that we need to put those, I think everybody on the board needs to understand that story and needs to know why we're getting there, so that we can all stand behind it and be able to answer questions that people have. Because if we don't have those details, I think we're not going to be strong enough to stand behind it.
Okay. Barbara first and then Kevin.
I appreciate what Fernanda just said. I was on that task force, but you and I are some of the only board members who have been here for, I don't know, more than 5 years or so. So there's not a lot of
I'm not old.
there's not
Okay.
a lot of institutional knowledge on this board about what happened on the task force. It was pre-COVID. And COVID just stalled that whole thing. We had done a whole bunch of work and a whole bunch of meetings and gathered lots of information, and then COVID hit. And so, we have all of that documentation of all those meetings, and we have all that raw data. But she's absolutely right that even like me, were you on it?
Yes, I was.
I was
I
actually
would-
talking about them.
So what I would like to
did
do
last
then,
year.
and I'm going to let Kevin talk too, but I think when we come back to our second October meeting, I'm going to have Melinda or someone find the slide deck that the last one we did with Allison Popa when we talked about the middle school model and the need for that.
Right,
Because I
because-
think
Yeah,
I think that
was-
explains a lot of the need and the why, and that will help us move forward, explaining it to Fernanda and explaining it to the rest of the board who wasn't here at the time.
Yeah, there was a lot of information we got at the outset
Yeah.
from.
Community.
I wanna
I
say
went
it
to
was
the
like-
meetings.
yeah, it
I
was
wasn't
like-
on the board.
Yeah.
It was-
I remember going to the meetings.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was convincing information about the value of a middle school model.
Sure.
But I wouldn't be able to cite that. I wouldn't be able to present
That's right.
that to
We can-
someone who would ask
we
me
can
about
find it and
we
put it
should
back on the
be
website.
able to do that, yeah.
And all I was gonna say was that, you know, just as the new person, I can say that I don't know the story and I
Right.
don't understand the why.
Right,
And, well, and
absolutely.
I think that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
being that it's after 8 now, I think that story comes to light in October. Yeah, we'll put you all to
Nice
sleep.
bedtime story.
Right, nice bedtime story. I think we bring that why back to our second meeting in October, and that be our discussion around the middle school model next month, and really just discuss the whys and the needs, and hopefully you might have some middle school, stuff around that as to why you would like it too, not just because of what the community has said and what we think as board members, but also from the administrative standpoint.
We will likely put the materials that you want for the second meeting on the first meeting so that you have 2 full weeks to review it.
Okay.
Because
Yep.
we need a decision on November 2026 by that second meeting.
That's fine.
Otherwise, we just know that it's going to be longer than that.
Well, I figured moving back from November is that if our Y was October, we could really move into the next part. But anyway, all right. But yeah, we'll do that in October.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe we should publicize that we're talking about it?
Well, yeah, and we can put it all over
Invite
Front
the
Porch Forum
community.
and everywhere that we're talking about it and see if people come to the meeting.
Yeah.
And we've had some response.
Do we want that public so early?
It's
Are we
public
ready?
anyway.
Well, it's public anyway.
I'm not suggesting to prevent them,
Yeah.
but do we want to proactively try and bring people into
But
that
we-
conversation while we are trying to?
We want to be transparent.
You used it twice.
Sorry, yeah, I do. I hate that word. Brett. All right. Because that's what we will be told we weren't if we don't invite them into our meetings.
I'm going to speak a little bit negative about it. But I want everyone to understand that I'm not in support
Sure.
of the middle school project.
Okay?
The committee last year was a big piece of the puzzle. It was not the entire puzzle.
Sure.
We need to have cost-benefit analysis. We need to have some financials. We need to have an idea of what the long-term impact to the district is going to be. Because if we don't, this thing is going to get crucified, much like the VCC.
Well, we also have to include on the fact that it's not just middle school model, it's also that there are some major renovations that have to happen to this building, because otherwise it's going to fall in on itself. I mean, that cafeteria is from 1962.
And that strengthens our argument.
Right.
But there are some things that take away from it, though,
Right.
right? If we look back to the initial plan or the concept from the committee,
Yep.
since then we have a bad middle school model, but we do have something. We spent money to do something.
Well, they've made it so that the 7th and 8th grade are away from the high school with some, doors and locked doors and whatnot.
And I think if you go back to the initial task force, we were earlier on in a bubble. We're a little bit later on in that bubble now. I think we've seen the other side of it. And are we going to miss it by doing this project too late?
Well, it's a valid question. From my standpoint, I don't think so. I think that if we have this nice middle school here, that it attracts other towns to come join us. You know
Well, we're
what I mean?
talking about a middle
But-
school, but isn't the bubble in 5th and 6th grade right now?
Well, there's always a bubble.
Okay,
there's
but-
always a bubble.
Okay, but
I mean, just so you know. I mean,
There's a drought in 4th grade.
well, yeah, but there's also a drought in 11th grade. So, it's always like every 3 years there's a drought. And so...
and I'm not trying to be negative to the
Yeah, no,
project
I get what
because
you're saying.
I feel like a unified front from the board is important, but I also
Yep.
think we have to be realistic. These are the types of things that we're going to get asked. We've got to be out in front of it.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, but that's why we have these discussions. But I think this discussion, you can have it now. We can stay here till 11 if you want. But I think it makes more sense to have it in October. And
Conversations about consolidating our buildings, right?
yep.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and we're going to be
Yes.
doing that during budget season. So yeah.
Yep.
So for clarification, Brett, do you want those before the board makes a decision to set a date for when we're going, or can that be done concurrently early on?
I'd like to see a timeline, right? And say like March, we want to have some kind of a cost benefit or long-term savings, or I don't know, something. some sort of a financial presentation. Doesn't have to be in October.
So you're okay with us kind of getting out there and presenting the idea and the need and the wants and everything beforehand, before?
As long as we have a schedule to get there, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and
that makes
that's our plan. We just, we want to know.
We know
that
we can't
this is
sell it
something
without
that-
having sound numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea. I think one of the things that you indicated was the VCC's situation kind of failed because they gave numbers too early that were, estimates or not worked out. I like the idea of letting the community know a timeline of when the numbers are coming. So understand the story, understand the need, listen to what we've done, and know that we're working on those numbers, but we'll have them then, and not early, because it's too hard to give them early and have them change.
Well, and also find the savings, right? Because we can't say we're going to spend $30 million on a bond and also add $5 million a year to our operating cost. We can't do that.
Well, no, but we also can say that, if we bring central office into this building, we can sell that building. We don't have
Sure,
to give
that's
it
a
to
savings.
Right, we don't have to sell that building back to Brandon for $1 because that belongs to us. This district, it does not belong to Brandon. It did not come in from Brandon. So, same way, right? Yeah.
Yes, and I'm feeling a little anxiety because I think it would be hard for the person who usually does most of your numbers to start saying where the savings are, because that's not something that's done in isolation at the administration's level. That means the board has to say, yes, we're willing to consider school reconfiguration. We're willing to consider school closure.
Well, isn't that what we're talking about anyway?
Or
We
even
do.
like Peter was saying, we're willing to say, we're going to assign what school you go to, and it's not necessarily
The
what
town
town
you
you
live
live in. So we can do better with numbers if we know what you're willing to do.
So it sounds like there's almost, in addition to the timeline, there's also discussions that need to be part of that timeline that we say, that the board will say, we're going to talk about X on this date
Yes.
and have a decision so that way we have the ability to run the best possible numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and I think during budget season is really when we have those discussions about buildings and reconfigurations, right?
But those are present, right? We need to have.
Future.
Well, are we talking about getting rid of whiting? I mean,
that's what
we
we
have
were
that
talking about.
ability now. We talked about that at the last meeting. That there's no debt on that anymore. We could give that back to the town of Whiting and save those operating costs.
We did get some projections, right, for student count moving forward. We
Yes,
could
yep.
use those as a rough gauge of where we want to be in 5
Exactly.
years.
Gabe?
And this could just be part of the process. I assume at some point we would bring in and commission a feasibility study from an architecture firm of some
We
sort.
already have one.
You do.
We
Yeah.
have a basic concept.
We have a basic concept, but it's kind of, but yes, we would go into
Is that-
more detail.
That process would sort of suss
Yeah.
all of that stuff out.
In June, it was presented to the board. So if you look back in the June minutes, you'll see
It's a
and it was
schematic.
also in the paper. It was in the
But if it's-
Brandon Reporter, the concepts that we looked at and the one that we went with.
and so it did cover the one that we're talking about.
But he's talking about a feasibility study, which is
Right, which is different, but this gives him some idea.
Because a feasibility study is a pretty in-depth
right.
experience.
Which is what I think we need to do as well.
I would expect
Not
that
there
that would be
yet.
something that we would
Yeah,
do,
we're just not there yet. We
And that would
we
be
need to
part of-
gauge.
Needs to be part of the timeline.
That would be
Right,
part
needs
of
part of the
between
timeline,
now
but we
and-
also have to gauge if there's even any interest in this before we
Right,
spend
I don't think
money
we
on
go
a
right to a
right.
feasibility study.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
it's part
Yeah.
of the process, right?
Yes.
between
Yes.
now and-
Debbie,
So certainly not a discussion for this evening, but we talked a lot. I mean, when we first started speaking about this, was actually when I first became a principal, and we were exploring the middle school model that we talked a lot about, and it gained certainly some traction, and we have some good practices in our school regarding the middle school model, and that's something that's kind of an abstract concept to sort of talk about with our public. Now, however, we do have sort of real concrete information regarding our programming. When Common Core, when we adopted Common Core, it's very much structured in a K-5 and then a 6-8 and a 9-12 sort of focus. And all of our programs are actually designed around that. So I think that that's something we should consider thinking about when you're sort of packaging the story that goes out to the public, that is something that should be considered.
Bless you.
Sorry, not done. All right, so definitely going to have this discussion, whether it be the first or second or both meetings. We will have this discussion going forward, so that we can have that timeline ready, or start the basis of the timeline. Okay, Act 73 discussion. We already had that discussion, and we've already talked about the open houses. 23rd is Neshabie, 25th is Lothrop. I'm going to come back to the district quality standards. The VSBA regional meeting is online September 30th. The Rutland region has a couple board vacancies for the VSBA, so if you're interested, reach out to them. The annual business meeting is October 23rd, which is also online. And the VSBA VSA annual conference is October 29th and 30th at the Doubletree Hotel in Burlington.
They moved north.
Yeah, they didn't have enough room in Lake Maury, they said last year. So if you're interested in any of those, the first two are Zoom meetings. The other one is in person, and we can get you set up with, if you want to go to the annual conference, let Melinda know. Let's see. Other business for future consideration. Boy, I think we got enough on our plate, don't we? But if there's anything else that we want to discuss, I'm all ears. Okay, think about it. Interrupt if you need to. Is there anything from your superintendent informational report that you wanted to mention?
Just wanted to come back to the creation of the Special Education Advisory Council. We are looking for any parents who are interested in joining Brian and myself and others around the district. Right now, it's much of the special education feedback is led through administrators, but we would like to follow the model that is being used in some districts around the state, as well as it's state required in Massachusetts for all school districts to have a parent advisory council. So we're taking names right now and would like to have one. We're going to have an information session, and then we'd like to have one fully in place by the end of the year. So
Would it
we
be
can
a
have
conflict of interest
For a board,
for a board member?
no, not at all.
Oh, I was thinking the same thing.
I have a lot to say.
Go ahead,
about
Brian.
special
All
education.
that stuff.
Yeah, and anyone can join. And we have 6 potential members, which is excellent. We did kind of an emailing, and I've got some really strong support for this effort, and some high interest. And we do have some other districts I found out watching us in this, and are very interested to see kind of how we go about things. District source up. I know ASCD does one, but there are some folks in the South that are watching us as well as a model. So I'm very excited for those things. Very productive in that district for us.
awesome. Thank you, Brian. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. So the only thing left on our agenda is the district quality standards. Melinda brought this to my attention. We're supposed to do a self-assessment as a district about our governance process, but yet the rubric hasn't been created yet, and it's due in October.
Is that just the survey we do?
No, this is different. This is the AOE wanting to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. So they're having an AOE office hour on Wednesday, October 8th at 9 a.m. It must be online for us to understand what they're going to do with this thing. So if you're interested, you can sign on for that Zoom. Otherwise, I'm going to keep it on here for next meeting, and we'll see if any new information pops up as to what we need to do in order to fulfill our requirements. Okay?
I'm sure we'll come back from wherever it is that we're going
Oh, yeah, the double tree?
Yeah, the double tree.
Yeah,
We'll
but
have more
that's
information.
after.
I know. We'll have more information from,
Yeah.
from there. I don't know, the AOE has a lot of documents they're creating right now, so.
Okay. All right, so if none of you disagree, our next meeting is October 7th, 6 p.m. here. And I'm going to say that if you're all willing, someone make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second? Second. All those in favor? Goodbye.
Jump over each other.
All right.